So my name is Ryan. I'm originally from Virginia. I went to the University of Virginia and majored in theater. I honestly didn't do much for extracurriculars, besides like hanging out with friends, playing basketball, exploring Charlottesville, going to DC occasionally, going home, seeing family. After graduation, I ended up moving to Boston. Really wanted to change in my atmosphere and ended up working at an eye doctor's office before eventually becoming a community educator around partner abuse. Um, while working there, I took my prerequisite classes for dental school in the evenings, and then eventually went on to get a master's at Boston University, and then applied to dental school. And here I am today. So after moving to Boston, I started to develop like a passion for healthcare, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with that yet, or what direction I wanted to go in, which led me to the eye doctor's office ophthalmic technician position. And it was fun. I really enjoyed what I did there, the different populations that I worked with, the different people that I met. But eventually, I knew that that's not what I wanted long term for myself. So I started volunteering at an organization that supported or continues to support survivors of domestic violence and partner abuse. And eventually I transitioned to staff there and left my old job. And from there, a lot of survivors, so in my position there, I was the community awareness associate, which essentially went out into the community, educated other organizations, companies, different practices on supporting survivors of domestic violence and partner abuse. And a lot of stories that survivors shared with me had to deal with dentists not being like trauma informed enough to adequately care for them. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So from there, I actually started shadowing and seeing if I liked the field and if I could see myself doing it. And I actually really enjoyed my time shadowing. I enjoyed what I saw. And from there, I started taking the prerequisites needed to apply to dental school. Okay, so for the DAT, honestly, I didn't like, okay. So I ended up taking it twice. And for the first time, I didn't like my score, just flat out. I didn't like my score. So um, when I took it again, the resources that I used didn't necessarily change, like boot camp, destroyer, chad's videos. I even used anki at some point. The resources didn't change, but my mindset changed. And I knew that taking it again, like I didn't want to submit with my first score, because even though I had a slight chance of getting in, maybe I didn't want to take that risk. So I knew that changing my mindset and then going back, being more I guess intentional with sticking to my study schedule, linking like pieces together in what I was learning honestly helped me understand big picture wise. So if there was a question that I was a little stuck on that kind of required, thinking through versus just like a random fact, I was able to think through it and hopefully get it right. But I think for predence, the a couple of pieces of advice that I would give would be to go in, take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world if you have to take it again. It'll be fine. And make sure that when you're studying, you're really looking at like the big picture of how everything is connected, because I think that will help you in your learning as well. So what do I think made me stand out from other applicants? Honestly, I think I think part of it was my age and my life experience. Like I will say I am a lot closer to 30 than I am to 20. And I think my job with the partner abuse agency that I worked with really gave me a different outlook on like human experience and human interaction. And even in my day to day, I don't want to say I don't look at people the same, but I appreciate like the life experiences that each and every one of us has, and I don't take it for granted. As far as like enrichment programs or things of that nature, yeah, I definitely attended a few of the schools in New England, their programs, the schools in Boston, school in Maine. UConn had a thing that they were doing. Was it right before COVID? I don't remember, but I actually got sick before that event and had to cancel and not be able to go. But yeah, I definitely attended some of those events. They were awesome. They were very impactful. I met a lot of cool folks who attend those schools who were super helpful during my application cycle and who I'm still friends with to this day. And definitely, if you're a pre-dent, definitely try your best to attend as many enrichment programs, impressions day or impressions day or impression days. Um, Go to as many as you can because I think that you're like who you meet there is more so invaluable than like the typical, what they need as far as like scores and classes. Make sure you reach out to faculty, make sure you email friends that you meet there, thanks for talking with me about this, thanks for showing me around. Like it really goes a long way. And the friendships that you make are honestly like they're invaluable. So definitely go if you can. So I submitted my dental school application, I think it was like June 24th, and I heard back from the school on September 30th. And the invitation was September 30th, and the actual interview was towards the end of October. And the way that they had their interview set up was they had all their students, go in the Zoom meeting in the Zoom room, and they had a couple folks who worked in admissions there explaining how the day was going to go and giving us a really brief presentation. And I think half of us like got split up to do the writing assignment, and then the other half of us got split up to do our interviews. And the way that they had their interviews set up was we would have, I believe it was 30 minutes with a current student. I think they were like a D2, and then 30 minutes with faculty. And I ended up leaving. Well, before I say that, I think the writing assignment was a really nice way to like take our mind off of how we did in the interview, or take our mind off like anticipating, how the interview was going to go if we had the writing assignment beforehand. And basically, with the writing assignment, they just gave us a quote, and we had to like freely respond to, our gut reaction to that quote. And I thought that was really cool and really different from other interviews. I left my interview feeling good because I knew that like I arrived at that interview my full authentic self, and I didn't like put on a show. Um, to try to get in. I think that that's important for a lot of us ambiverts who, we're around our friends and we, like to kick it and we're, super laid back and can talk our heads off. And when we're around new folk or, you know, faculty at a dental school that we want to go to, we, crawl on the shell and get a little nervous, which is totally normal and natural. I think that being your true authentic self in that interview will show them like why you deserve to be there and like why you're a great match for their program. Um, just I know like I'm trying so hard not to say be yourself because I know that's so cliche. But I think it's very important. Just try your best to convert those nerves into energy and to again really show them why their values and what they look for matches who you are. Like my school, they have pride values. Each and every one of those values, like I hold near and dear outside of school, even before like looking at the school's values. Like it just matched up. So I think that's my advice for the interview is go in there, turn those nerves into excitement, and really show them why you're a great match for their program. So I originally applied to like 15 schools, and the reason why I chose my school, um, I had a really good interview experience there with them, and I think I mentioned it as far as like the pride values that my school has and how their set of values really align with how I view life and like how I show up every day to whatever. That was a really big part. A lot of people who I talked to who go to the school said that it was super encouraging. They're very helpful. The pass fail curriculum is very like it's very good in the way that when exams are coming up, you don't feel like you have to get a 100 or a 95, even though that's most people's goal. We want to do really well academically, but if you don't, everything is still going to be okay because at the end of the day, your transcript's either going to say a P or an NP. So that aspect of really having that stress reliever was really nice. Talking to folks here, they say that, or they have said that a lot of our students have good rates as far as like specialization. Not too sure if I want to do that yet. I feel like it's too early. But if I do, then I wanted to go to a place where I had like the option of maybe specializing, maybe not, and just going to acknowledge that you can specialize anywhere you go. And yeah, San Francisco is a beautiful city. I had never visited before moving here, and when I did, I was pretty blown away by how beautiful the nature was on the coast. And these hills are something else, though. But it's a really good place to go to school, even if you haven't been. I definitely encourage you to visit first, just so you get a sense of the feel of the area. It's definitely different from the East Coast. It's different from Boston. It's different from New York. It's different from Virginia. But I think this school really supports their students. Even if you have to remediate or something, like it's totally fine. They're super supportive. They will help you out. And yeah, I'm really glad I chose the school. Transitioning from being a pre-dental student to being a dental student, for me, wasn't too bad. The reason why I'm saying that is because of the master's I did. And quick plug to Boston University's Oral Health Sciences Master's program in the class of 2021. I think that the reason why I'm not having too much of a hard time here didactically is because I very much so struggled and failed some stuff in that program to be comfortable here. So for master's programs, like you don't have to do one if you're solid in your science foundation from undergrad, but because I majored in theater and because I did prerequisite classes while working here and there, like my science foundation was not that strong. So that master's really helped me build that up and make me comfortable with the material now. So for me, if you're non-traditional or if you haven't done a lot of science classes, definitely look into a master's. BU's program is really good. I've heard great things about other programs like Ryen and Mississippi College, and even Tufts like MBS program. But for me, that's why it wasn't as difficult as it can be. It was honestly because I did that program. In general, though, the biggest thing for me was definitely change of environment. Because I've never been to the city, let alone the West Coast. I mean, I visited very briefly a couple of months before I moved here, but just having a new environment and virtually not knowing anybody when I moved here, I think that was the hardest part. I mean, I'm still like homesick. I really want to go back and visit often, but you know, I gotta stay here and keep pushing. And yeah, I think that for me, the biggest transition was just moving across the country. It wasn't so much so the like schools materials and the didactics and the hand skills. I mean, that'll come, but it was definitely moving and, you know, leaving my dog behind for several months and visiting here and there. Yeah. So UCSF has their curriculum in streams. And what I mean by that is we have a biomedical sciences stream, preventive and restorative dental sciences stream, a scientific methods stream, a dental sciences stream, and a patient-centered care stream. D1 fall quarter, our school is also split into quarters. So we have fall, winter, spring for D1. And then I think starting D2, we incorporate summer into that. Our school is also really cool because we have like a 3 month summer break in between D1 and D2, which is really nice. Yeah, D1 quarter, it honestly felt like all anatomy. So in our BMS stream, we had anatomy, pathology, and histology. And like a typical day or a typical schedule for us in fall quarter looked kind of like, 2 hours on Zoom on a Monday for anatomy lecture, and then 2 hours in lab. And then we have these things called ISOs, which I think stands for Independent Study Opportunity, in which the school gives us scheduled time to study, take a break, take a breather, do laundry, whatever. And so that's Monday. So like Tuesday, we would have anatomy in the morning essentially, and then a couple hours of anatomy in the afternoon after lunch, and then 2 more hours from 3 to 5 of scientific methods. And then Wednesdays, I believe we had, I think it was morphology, and we're also split into two groups, odds and evens, and we would alternate each week, and we would have that in the morning, morphology, and then we would have ISO in the afternoon. Thursdays was operative in anatomy. Fridays were PCC in anatomy. So it was like listen, it's a lot, but you'll get through it, and yeah, just stay focused, stay organized. And I think this quarter, personally, because we're not in anatomy, it feels a lot more manageable. And yeah, that's pretty much how our D1 schedule, D1 fall quarter schedule looked. Yeah, no, there are a lot of exciting things about attending UCSF for dental school. Being in San Francisco is, in and of itself is a whole different ball game and new wonderful experience. I love how forward thinking my school is in regards to a lot, like just like health equity and healthcare for all. Essentially, I love how my school incorporates pronouns on their like student tags when we're in the clinic, and as well as their email signatures. Like we have to have our pronouns in our email signatures. I think that's great. Our school has a care program where we have care ambassadors who are students who are kind of the link between survivors of abuse and resources at the school. The dental school has, I think we have all of the specialties except dental anesthesia, and I don't know if we're getting that or if we have. I don't think we have that, but we have the rest of them. I love how faculty here, like, they're willing to listen to you and they treat you like a colleague versus like a student. I really appreciate that since we are going to be colleagues pretty soon. Everyone here is just so helpful. The pass-fail environment, it really, really, really does alleviate that like competitiveness and the stress of having to do like extremely, extremely well didactically. Again, which is what we all strive for. Um, the school itself, like it's literally like 30 blocks from the ocean. And we have a park called Golden Gate Park. Well, it's not the school's park, it's San Francisco's park, but it's like a block away, 2 blocks away from the school. It's huge. I think it's like the same size or maybe even a little bit bigger than Central Park in New York. Um, Oakland is right around the corner. There's just so much here to explore and to appreciate. And I love how UCSF really takes their students under their wing to make them the best healthcare providers that we have the potential to be. My biggest advice for pre-dental students is to never forget why you're doing what you're doing and why you're working so hard to get into dental school and to become a dentist. It's really easy to succumb to the stress and any negative things that are happening in your life that might deter you from continuing your goal. but I think it's important that you're doing this for a reason, whatever higher power you believe in. Like, you're gonna make it, you're gonna get there, and try to remember that and try to remember the why when things get hard. Also, once you're accepted into a dental school or several dental schools, go to where you're like lifted, celebrated, encouraged. Don't just go to where you're accepted, or go to a school because it's cool, a good school, or because a lot of people say that it's a good school. Go to where you are celebrated. Go to where you know that you will thrive. And you'll be able to get that vibe, at least from my perspective, from faculty, from people you talk to, both affiliated with that school, the dental school specifically, and just like the overarching school in general, in the community in general. I think that going to a school where you can feel that they want you there will definitely give you a better experience there versus going to a school that gave you the most money, or going to a school that is, a top school or whatever. Go to where you're wanted. Go to where you're going to be celebrated. I think those are very, very, very important factors to happiness, because dental school by itself is stressful and you will leave with a few gray hairs. So make sure that you choose the right school that you'll be the most happy at. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding anything I didn't address in this video, please feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram handle is Theater Smiles. It's TheaterSmiles, or my email, which is ryan.wilson@ucsf.edu. Spelled a little differently, ryen.wilson@ucsf.edu. And I'd be glad to talk to you and have a conversation. Thanks.